Hello everyone, welcome to TPNN, the Profile Netcasting Network, broadcasting from the Profile in beautiful downtown Vancouver. Brought to you by Mr. Taxes. Visit them at mrtaxes.ca. You're listening to The Allan Knight Show, your business communications coach.
Hello everyone, Allan Knight here on the Allan Knight Show with the Profile Netcasting Network here in beautiful downtown Vancouver, Gastown. The sponsor of the show along with Mr. Taxes. Every Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we are here for you. We are here for you, the small business person, the entrepreneur who's out there trying to make a living, trying to survive, more importantly, trying to succeed at a very high level at your business. And our focus on this particular show is about business communication, and the focus is on communication. As you know, communication is a part of every facet of our life. And for us to succeed in business as well, we need to master the art of communication. So the purpose of this show is to provide you with ideas, with insight, with practical tools. Almost every week we have a guest. We have a guest expert I'm going to introduce in a few moments. We've got an exciting show right in front of you today. And there are other times when I'll do some coaching, training tips. As a coach, I'm a communication and motivational trainer and coach. If you'd like to check out my website, you simply go to www.allanknight.com. That's ALLANKNIGHT.com. And what I do is really help people how to communicate with greater clarity, with greater confidence, and greater impact from the inside out. I hope that I'm demonstrating what I'm talking about. I better be walking the talk. So every week we're here at the Profile. If you've never been here, you must get up to Vancouver, Canada, 375 Water Street, Suite 200. The Profile is a co-working office space, an amazing place. And our great producer and director is Mr. Michael Zahora. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, how are you, Allan?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
As you noticed today, we have a guest with us.
I noticed.
And if you noticed that we have a beautiful guest, a beautiful young lady, because I'm tired of looking at men's faces, including yours, every week.
Oh,
and I'm sure you're
I feel the same way about you, Allan.
Are the feelings mutual?
Oh, yeah.
They're very mutual. How are things with you? They're good?
Good.
Good, excellent. So we're ready to rock on this. By the way, Mike, I got to tell you, this is a very auspicious day for me, not for you. But those that know me well know I have about 5 or 6 mentors who have taught me many, many things and continue to teach me many things. And some of you will be surprised to know that one of my favorite mentors of all time, who passed away in 1992, is, funnily enough, one of the Rat Packers called Dean Martin, the great personality Dean Martin. And Dean Martin, to me, in my estimation, was the greatest personality of all time. I've learned more about having fun, keeping it light, having joy in my life from him than any other motivational speaker that I've ever experienced. And today represents his birthday. This is his birthday, June 7th. So I thought I would pass that along in honor of Dean Martin. It is June 7th, eh?
I think so.
I think it is because you just told
Oh, no,
me.
6th.
It's the 6th.
It's the 6th.
Wow. So tomorrow is Dean Martin's birthday. So Dean, wherever you are up there, happy birthday to you. Now, before we introduce our guest, I just want to mention those of you that are in Vancouver, which is our home base, and are available during the month of June, specifically June 25th, we've got our monthly Walk the Talk live event. And the first one was very successful. We had 65 people. We are expecting over 100 people. It's 7 to 9 p.m. If you need to look it up, go to meetup.com/walk the talk. And you'll see the first link is called, I believe it's Personality and Stage Presence and Building Your Business. Click on there, register. It's free. There's hundreds of parking spaces, complimentary. We're even going to give coffee and all kinds of little appetizers. Well, no, coffee and donuts or something like that. I'm not sure what, but we're going to give you stuff. And it's going to be the most incredible, dynamic training and networking event that you've ever seen. It's going to be a lot of things. It's going to be fun. We're going to have some humor. We're going to have some music. We're going to have a lot of networking and some training tips. So don't miss it. Meetup.com/walk the talk. And if you want to get some of my free tips, go to allanknight.com and you can access some of my speaking communication tips there. Now, today, our topic is a little bit different because initially it sounds like it may not connect to business, but pretty well everything. There was a time when I was growing up, I don't know if you remember, Mike, when people would say, well, you got to separate business from personal. Well, you can't always separate from business from personal, right? If you were depressed at home, wouldn't that affect your business to some degree?
To some degree.
To some degree, right? So isn't it in your favor to be really happy in your personal life?
Always.
Right. In the same way, if we've got energy, if we've got health, we've got vitality, that is going to go a long way toward increasing our success in every relationship, including our business or relationships. So today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Camelot Van Merlin, who I've known for many years. We've recently connected, and she is a registered holistic nutritionist. And today we're talking about how holistic health is important for small business and entrepreneurs. We're gonna discuss this. I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be lively. And if you want to connect with us on Twitter, it's @NightTalk, KNIGHTALK. Camelot, welcome to the show, my dear.
Thanks, Allan.
Nice to see you again.
It's nice to be here.
Now, before we even get started with some of the questions that I'm going to ask you about holistic medicine or holistic health, why don't you tell everyone in a nutshell a little bit about your background and what it is that led you to this field and industry in the first place?
Sure, I'd love to. I started off, coming out to Vancouver when I was in my early 20s, just exploring. And I've worked all sorts of odd jobs, everything from construction to retail to the service industry. And it didn't matter to see what job I was working, how much money I was making. There was always something missing. And over time, I learned that piece that was missing was something inside of myself.
Right.
And the more I got clear on who I was, the more I was able to be in alignment in my work.
So what led you to this specific field of holistic health?
So to be in alignment with my work and more with myself, that's what's led me to holistic health.
So in other words, rather than you be happy with going to get a 9-to-5 traditional job, you realized what you were passionate about was health. Why not take that passion and integrate it into your profession? Is that what you're pretty well saying?
Well, learning about myself is what brought me through to learning that being happy with who I was.
It was a self-discovery process.
It was a self-discovery, and in the process, holistic health just really enlivened and inspired me.
Okay, let's get right into it. People have heard the word holistic health, alternative medicine. Give us your definition of what holistic health is. What is that?
I feel that that's just taking into consideration your entire being, your environmental influences, your social influences, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual influences and aspects of the human being.
Right.
Your health is not just your physical body. It's the way you think and it's the way you feel about yourself and your life.
Right. But there are people that would hear what you just said. Or let me do it another way, is if I was speaking to Mike and I said, Mike, I met this incredible person, and he says, well, why is she so incredible? Well, she helps people in every facet of their life. Their physical health, their mental health, their emotional health, their spiritual health, their relational. It sounds to a lot of people like it's a lot of things and it's hard for people to get their head around. It doesn't sound very specific. So obviously you don't help people on every area. You're not their minister. You're not their dating service, right? So could you hone in on what you mean about holistic as it relates to what you do day to day to help people?
What I do is I just talk to people. And if I'm not an expert in an area, like personally, I wouldn't say, like if I had someone who was having trouble with their business and motivation, I'd probably refer them to you or to another professional that was a specialist in the area.
So who would come to you? Give me who's your best, the ideal target audience. You must have people that are suffering from something or looking for something. Who's your ideal client?
I believe, Allan, in all aspects of life, we all suffer a little bit, and we're always looking for something.
Right.
So that pretty much qualifies everyone.
So you're not just talking here about nutrition.
No, that's a huge aspect to it. That's what I'm certified and registered as a practitioner in
Right.
holistic nutrition.
Right.
And that's a key tool to being healthy and happy. And it is having a healthy body and feeding it things that make you feel amazing.
So if you looked at all the clients that you've had over the years, what % of your time with them has been devoted to nutrition? Is it 10%, 20, 50, 60?
I think a small percentage. It's actually a lot more talking to people and learning where they're at with their emotional states.
So you're nutritionist plus life coach.
Absolutely.
If we want to.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Let's hone in a bit more. I know that I have a few questions here. I asked you what holistic were. Why is it important for companies, entrepreneurs, our listeners out there, particularly as it relates to their success in their business? Why is it important? I mean, some of it may be obvious, right? Why is it important for them to look at these issues?
Well, besides obviously having happier, healthier, more productive employees, like straight off the bat, that's obviously number one reason. But holistic health is a growing field. It's very cutting edge right now. It's everywhere in the world. North America, like you can't even go out in Vancouver without seeing something about a wellness center or a naturopath or a health food store. So it's a growing market. And just knowing what's going on in the industry and in the growing trends of our society is important for any entrepreneur.
Right. But how will it help them in their business specifically?
Well, obviously learning about the food system.
But is it going to help them because they have more vitality, more energy, the obvious
Well,
stuff,
that's
right?
the first thing I said.
Right.
Yeah, like being happier, healthier.
Right.
That's definitely part of it. But just from a business aspect, knowing what's going on with the government and what's going on with
Being aware.
Yeah, just being aware of
important.
what's going on out there.
And more people are becoming aware, right?
Absolutely.
That's great. Now, this is an interesting question that I want to ask you. I know it's going to sound funny, but this whole thing about health foods, right? Mike, you're too young to remember. Did you either of you ever hear of the comedian named Jackie Mason? Ever
Yes.
hear of Jackie Mason?
Yeah, wasn't he the Honeymooners guy?
No, that
Jackie
was Jackie
Gleason.
Jackie Mason was a very funny guy, and there was a bit that he did in front of a London in the 2,000 people. And he said at that time when he was on stage, the biggest thing was the growth of natural food stores, health food stores. She says he's a Jewish guy, so he had this Jewish accent, right? The biggest craze now is health food. Everything's into health food. And he was making fun of it, right? He says, health food, I can relate to that. I can't wait to have my alfalfa sprouts. I can't do without my alfalfa sprouts, And he was making fun of it, and he says, every time I go into a natural food store, I see these people, they're sickly, they're skinny, they look white. I go into a delicatessen, people eating meat, smoked meat, and they're looking lively and full of life. So the question I have is it possible that some of us get overly preoccupied? Now, we surely want to eat well, but do you think it's possible that we go so overboard and focus on the nutrition, we forget about the emotions and the spirit? And a lot of people might live a very healthy life who don't have that great a diet, but they're living an amazing life. How would you relate to what I'm saying?
I think that being happy and doing things that make you feel good, if, eating a cheeseburger from your favorite restaurant makes you feel good, then definitely do that. Right. I do the 80-20 rule. I do what I'm supposed to 80% of the time.
Well, that's good.
And 20% of the time, I do whatever the heck I want.
That's excellent advice, because you don't want either extreme, right? You don't want to become a fanatic so that you're worried about everything you eat and you become obsessed with that. And yet you don't want to go to the other side of not caring what you eat and not taking care of yourself and ending up sick. So that was a really good answer, by the way. Okay. By the way, here's another interesting question for you. That of the people that I've met that have been specifically in the industry of helping people with their nutrition, here's a common comment I get from the health practitioners. One of them gave up the practice because of it. She said to me, Allan, I got sick of trying to help people eat well that refused to act on their goals. It wasn't my job to try to get them, and most of them didn't keep it up. Is that true?
I've experienced that. I'm just coming out of a place from that exact energy. But to me, it's not so much about trying to get anyone to do anything.
Right.
When people are ready and they want to make changes in their life, and they have access to information and resources that support that,
right.
That's the most important thing.
Right.
I will continue to share information. I will continue to be myself, and I feel as I'm more in alignment with who I am and rolling with the flow of life, I will just meet the right people that will benefit from my information.
Right.
I'm done trying to change the world. I'm just working on myself and yeah, just seeing what comes every day.
That's a great attitude. That's a good segue. When we're going to take a short break, but when I come back, I want to talk specifically about the importance of self-acceptance, self-love as it relates to these issues. Just want to take a short break. Just want to remind everyone, we are here at the Profile on the Profile Netcasting Network. Mike Zahora, the producer director, you don't see him, but he sets up everything, the camera, the lighting. He's doing everything behind the scenes. If it wasn't for him, this show wouldn't happen. We show up. Oh, we're supposedly the stars. He does all the work, so we're grateful for his work. Sponsored by Mr. Taxes, The Profile, Kevin Penstock, the owner of The Profile. Amazing co-office space here in beautiful Gastown in Vancouver. This is the beginning of the summer. Isn't it time to come up to Vancouver? Isn't this the time? The next
Oh, absolutely. It's best time of year.
Trust me, I've been around the world, and when it rains a lot, I get a little grouchy. But during the summer, and I think almost anyone, would you agree, Mike, that anyone who lives in Vancouver would say between May to September, October, it's hard to beat living in Vancouver. Would you agree?
Oh, it's impossible to beat.
It's hot. I mean, if you were here, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never been to Vancouver, you would walk outside with us, and we'd walk along the water, and you'd see the beautiful, majestic mountains, and you'd feel like it's a world-class picture right in front of you. And people are flocking around, and then there's the cruise ships that come in. It's an amazing place, and right in the heart, right near that, is where we are here on the Water Street Profile. So thank you for being with us on a regular basis. We hope that you enjoy the show. Certainly give us feedback on future shows. We have some really good shows lined up over the next couple of weeks. And we're now back with our guest, Camelot Van Merlin, and we're talking about holistic nutrition, holistic health, and how it affects our bottom line, how it affects our business, and all our life. So I was going to talk to you about self-esteem, self-acceptance. Here's an interesting thing, and I'm going through this process too, because you and I chatted about this last week. I have this philosophy now, and it's related to what I'm going through, is that I think, I speak for myself, that I prided myself in that I pretty much like who I am. I've been working on myself for many years, or else I wouldn't be coaching in that area, right? But when it comes to the eating part, the nutritional part, I've kind of put that on the back burner. And recently I had this insight that there was that little part of me that I wasn't truly accepting, adoring, and loving the way I should be. And that I'm not really committed to it. And that's why it's not happening. Mm-hmm. So would you agree that we got to get sufficiently aware, and not only aware, we got to get sufficiently fed up and be willing to make changes and make commitments to turn that around?
Well, when things aren't giving you the results that you desire, there's obviously room for improvement. And whatever you've been doing on your own hasn't been working. So that's a great time to reach out, connect with some coaches, connect with your community, like-minded people. And you know what? A lot of these things are very affordable. There's all sorts of communities out there just on Meetup alone. There's many groups. And just, connect with others and share what you're going through.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, just talking it out for yourself with someone will bring you your own answers.
That's another amazing point that we forget about when it comes to health, is that we can take care of ourselves as best we can, but we are social beings. And I'm amazed how many of us are isolated. We live in the city, but we're very isolated. Some people could be living in the same house and not communicating. This woman, a woman friend of mine from back east called me last week. She's not the only woman that's asked me this question in the last 6 months. She says, Allan, I'm about to break up with my boyfriend of 2 years. And I have this pattern. Every 2 years I break up with the guys. And there's a reason why she attracts the same kind of guy. So she says, I'm just not sure how to approach communicating with him. So I basically shared some of my ideas of how she could communicate to him. Then she said to me, by the way, would you be willing to communicate for me? My point was, she didn't even know in a relaxed manner and a clear, creative way to communicate. And health is not just about the body, it's about the emotions. And part of that is communication. And a lot of people are not getting that, they're not reaching out. We're part of other people. So if we can reach out to like-minded people, like you just said, it would be really good.
And another thing is looking at the way we speak to ourselves. I just had a roommate that always was calling herself names and putting herself down and little things like that. And I'd be like, hey, that's my roommate you're talking about. Right. And try to catch her. So notice the way we, speak with ourselves that's a huge indicator of where we're at and how much love, exactly. How much we're loving ourselves. Yeah.
Now, the other day you were talking to me about GMO. What's this thing about GMO?
There's a lot in the news right now. There's a lot going on around this GMO. It means genetically modified organism. And basically what they're doing is they're changing and manipulating the genetic code of food. Right. Some of the main ones to be aware of right off the top of my head are wheat, soy, and corn. Now, these crops are basically genetically modified and contaminated. There is no more natural seeds available on a large scale. Right. So what's happening is we're consuming these genetically modified foods, and they're in all the foods that we purchase in the grocery stores, things like that. And it's actually causing an immune reaction in our body. Well, basically, we're learning that this is happening. First of all, it wasn't a choice that we were ever given. Right. A lot of countries in Europe and South America are banning genetically modified foods and demanding that they be labeled. Okay. North America, we just actually had a rally, the March Against Monsanto. On the 25th of May. It was a huge scale event. It was amazing. A lot of people came out. But just to be aware that genetically modified food is out there, and that there is no long-term studies of how this affects our body, and that just because something is certified organic does not mean it hasn't been genetically modified or enhanced.
So this is what you mean about the importance of us understanding and becoming more aware of what's going on in our environment, in our food, etc. And what's really cool is we're living in an age where people are connecting online a lot, becoming more aware, and mobilizing social action, which is kind of cool. Now, you talked to me, one last question because we're running out of racetrack, is you talked to me about the other day, I know this sounds funny, but a lot of us don't chew well, and I'm one of these. And you talked to me about this incredible machine called the NutriBullet, which I saw last night on a show. And I'm going to get one. And tell us why something like the NutriBullet could be incredible for our health, and why it's better than, let's say, the average juicer or the average, what do you call it? The
blender.
Well,
blenders are obviously amazing. Juicers are great. They have their purpose. But the NutriBullet actually has a more powerful motor inside. Right. And an average blender or magic bullet, you could put kale in there, which is big for a lot of us health fans. Right. And it won't massacate properly. Right. There are still chunks in the cell walls, don't break down, this and that. Right. So the NutriBullet, you can put anything in there, lentils, anything. You can make flour with it, you can make a smoothie, and everything will be blended.
So you want me to go back to eating like a baby food?
For someone with IBS and any type of intestinal dis-ease, I would absolutely say that mashing and blending your food would just give your pancreas, your stomach, and your intestines a dream come true. It would be
That
so
is
much easier
such
for them.
great advice. Wow, that's amazing. How do people get in touch with you, my dear?
Well, I'm on Facebook, so Camelot Van Merlin. Also, my email is themagicofcamelot, all one word, @gmail.com.
Wow, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you. We'll have to ask you to come on again.
Oh, thank
we'll
you.
get much more into it. This was fun, even though we take these we take these subjects that we think, oh, okay, what does that have to do with success? It has a lot to do with success. So it's great having you.
I'll just add one more thing. Anyone who's really interested in learning more about the food system and what's going on in the world, there's a website called filmsforaction.org. And it's a free website with tons of documentaries. Click on the food link, and anything I've ever learned and you ever need to know is right on there.
Great. So we all now know that it's very important to become more aware of all the foods we're eating, what's out there, what we need to integrate into our diet, what kind of attitude we should have. So this was very, very valuable. And I personally am going to go and get this NutriBullet machine. I'm really excited about that. That's going to change my life, I have a feeling. I'll probably live to about 107. I'll be really happy about that. And because this is a show that's more, we call it walk to talk radio. We don't just talk about things. So what I'm challenging each one of you to do is to look at yourself and say, hey, what am I going to do? Not what am I going to talk about? What am I going to do this week to elevate my game on a nutritional level? And not only recreate some positive affirmation about it, but get the emotion into it and then take an action. Like, I'm going to take an action. This week, I will buy the NutriBullet. And this week, I will chew my food a minimum of 20 times every time I'm chewing my food. That's the decision I've just made. That's my commitment. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Drive carefully. Take care.